Hello and welcome everybody here. This is the Midweek Report for July 7th, 2021. This is the Boxing Source. And we got a few things that, we're going to go over a little bit here. We got, a few things that we'll, talk about as far as like what's going down upcoming this week and, some of the things that were talked about, over the past, a couple of days or so. In the sport of boxing. We're going to see if we could get in as much as we can through this little segment here, as we're looking ahead to, a little bit of action that's coming up here later this week. And know that we got, fight at the lightweight division between Jojo Diaz, who was a former champion at 130 pounds, going up against Javier Fortuna. And you also have a former champion at super middleweight there, Zurdo Ramirez, going up against Sullivan Barrera in the light heavyweight division. So that is coming up in a couple of days. They, had a press conference, there for that particular fight card. That did take place today, but you also did have earlier today the conference call there for the undisputed 154-pound title match, where you're going to have Jamel Charlo going against Brian Charlo-Castano, Castano being the WBO champion, and you have Jamel Charlo there, the WBC, IBF and WBA champion, and they went through, a few things as far as like, what to expect for that fight that's coming up, not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday there, as they'll be fighting in San Antonio with all four of the 154-pound belts on the line. Jamel Charlo says that he's feeling very good. That it's been a great camp for him. Same thing for Brian Castano. I know that Castano is a shorter fighter. He did mention something about fighting Jamel Charlo. How it would be any different from his previous fight, because he's going up against someone that is of similar height and stature. As his previous opponent, who was the WBO champion at the time there in Patrick Teixeira. Patrick Teixeira is there around 5'10", 5'11", and so is Jamel Charlo. But he pretty much made it clear that there's different styles there for him to deal with going into this fight with Jamel Charlo. And, with Jamel Charlo, a couple of questions that were asked in reference to him as far as like what he's done so far in the 154-pound division, and that, people aren't, necessarily giving him, that much respect there at 154, even though he is pretty much on the verge of becoming the undisputed champion at 154, the first four-belt world champion there at 154 pounds. And, with that being said, it's like, the guys that he's, already fought up to this point, should put him up there as like one of the better fighters in the sport of boxing there. You got guys that have, resumes that, may, be up there in comparison to what Jamel Charlo has done. And some that are, probably not there. So, we're going to break that down here a little bit. Shout out to those that are, joining here live right now. If anyone wants to, chime in and get things going, get things jumping, we got the chat link here, through StreamYard, so you could join the conversation as it goes along there. But, we're talking about, like I said there with, Jamel Charlo there against Brian Castano. That's going to be a fairly good fight there. But, when it comes to, what I say as far as like him being a fighter that's among the upper echelon in the sport of boxing. Like I said, if he wins, he becomes an undisputed champion. And it's crazy because you recently had an undisputed champion be crowned at 140, and Josh Taylor, with him defeating Jose Ramirez. And after him getting that win, people started to put him in there in the pound for pound rankings. And some people put him as high as like number 5 or something like that. You know what I mean? Hold on a second. Let me get some water. Summer, man, it's hot. But yeah, going back to what Josh Taylor did. I mean, he was able to defeat Jose Ramirez for the undisputed titles at 140 pounds, and people talk about his resume at 140. With him, defeating the likes of Ivan Baranchyk and having this fight against Regis Prograis, to become unified champ, and then being able to defeat Jose Ramirez. And with that, they just said that, hey, he's, among the top guys pound for pound there while being there at 140. But with, Jamel Charlo, he's had his wins. He had, his, like I said, his recent win there over Jason Rosario to become unified champion. He got his, revenge over Tony Harrison there. He's had wins over Austin Trout. We had that knockout win over Eric Lubin, who, a couple weeks ago had his impressive victory over Jason Rosario to, become a, top contender there at 154 pounds again. So if you look at, what Jamel Charlo has done up to this point here at 154 pounds, you can pretty much say that he should be up there in the pound for pound rankings, given what his resume is. So I'm going to see here. I wanted to, kind of like touch on that a little bit on what he was talking about, because, there was one thing he was saying as far as like, because multiple people brought it up. You know what I'm saying? As far as like what he was talking, as far as like the thing there for Jamel Charlo being listed at pound for pound. And, one reporter kind of like brought up that question, and he, kind of like responded to it. So I'm going to see if I could run this audio clip here real quick. Let me see if this will go. Let's run it.
I just know for a fact that, I do get a lot of people that write me. They always tell me about, the only people that don't really put y'all on your list is this man. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That don't make me mad. It don't do nothing to me. Y'all don't get no bills from my house, and y'all probably y'all create y'all list every day. So y'all change y'all list every time somebody fights. So that's y'all job, dog. I don't care about that. I'm gonna get in there and do some dangerous stuff, and you don't even gotta put. You can boycott me off the list, like y'all doing, whatever the case is. So I don't care about that. I'm 154 Jamel Charlo, and I stand my grounds for who I am. As long as, like I said, I'm making the people around me happy, and the peers and my coaches and the people that are telling me what to do, and they're satisfied with it, and I give my all.
And I respect that. I appreciate that. I mean, y'all know about our job.
It's not like we're getting extra dollars because y'all made a list that say who the best and not the best. I believe Canelo #1 right now. Right. Honestly.
I agree. He's number 1 on my over Brandon. He's a top ranked guy. But all of that being
but y'all have Terence Crawford like really, really, really high. I mean, you don't look at his opponents or who he fought. I know Kell Brooks was I know Kell Brooks was a dangerous fighter. And I believe Kell Brooks was a great fighter. He beat. But my bad. I don't want to throw out names. I don't got time to drama, but I'm just keeping it real.
And there you go. That's Jamel Charlo right there. He talked about, some people that are usually mentioned among the top guys in the pound for pound list. Of course, Canelo Alvarez, they're the unified super middleweight champion currently. And of course, former undisputed champion at 140 pounds, Terence Crawford, who is current WBO welterweight champion. And, he Jamel Charlo mentioned Terence Crawford because, Terence Crawford is kind of like mentioned among the top 2 or 3 guys that would be put on the list for pound. And he kind of like, says, hey, who are the guys that Terence Crawford has fought here recently? Of course, he, brought up Kell Brook. Kell Brook was a former IBF welterweight champion. But, he says, like, outside of that, maybe you can't, like, bring up the guys that Terence Crawford had faced recently in comparison to the work that Jamel Charlo has done. So, here in the next couple of weeks, you're going to have Jamel Charlo here have his attempt to, be the undisputed super welterweight champion. And he could possibly move up to 160 pounds if he does get that win. There might be a couple of fights that are available for him. There at 154 that he could still have. He could, still maybe have a fight with Julian Williams. Maybe a couple of other people, but it just remains to be seen. Just seeing here, joining us on the midweek report, of course, is the man coming from the Boogie Down Bronx. You know what I'm saying? Representing MVO, the president of the Deontay Wilder fan club, Mr. Matthew Brown. What's good? What's happening?
2 more weeks, baby. 2 more weeks. The big payback is coming. Okay? You've been talking all your shit since February 22nd, 2020, the worst day of my life. It's good to know that that day only happened because of cheating from a thief. So now I don't feel so bad. But it is time for Deontay Wilder to get back what's his. It's time for Sophia to come home. And Deontay Wilder will be the WBC and lineal heavyweight champion of the world. How you doing, JR?
Oh, man, I'm all right. But I'm telling you right now, like I said, ain't no motherfucking way I'm going to go ahead and bring myself to subscribe. So that, there ain't going to be no big payback. I'm not bringing myself.
Hey, man, his woman looking thick, man. She might be the worth the price of OnlyFans. You never know. That's a BBW over there, my brother.
Yeah, but I ain't much of a fan of those.
I'm just hype about it, man. So I put out a poll asking who people think will be the third man. Because you remember Deontay Wilder said that there was a third guy that was going to complete the camp. And a lot of people are saying that the third man is Don House. Have you heard anything about that?
Nah, I haven't heard anything about that. I put my vote as Big George.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I thought too. But people thought I was just trolling. But
yeah.
if you look at the immediate aftermath of Fury versus Wilder and Big George wanting to reach out to Wilder, I didn't think that was too far fetched.
Right. And that was like one of the 2 people that were kind of like mentioned that visited Deontay Wilder during that time period. The other person was Evander Holyfield. Yeah. So it was going to be like, one of those 2 guys as far as like who would be, spending time with him, given with Evander Holyfield being around the area, in the Southeast, but George Foreman, being a big guy, pretty much had that similar, run in his early parts of his career, knocking everybody out, so, and being a big dude himself. So, that's why I put it, my thing is George Foreman. And the other one that I considered that was part of the list was, who was it? The guy that was for Charlo.
Rodney Shields.
That would have been number 2. That one was my second choice from that list was Ronnie Shields. But I picked George Foreman, given that I think that they have had a relationship and built that relationship over the course of the past year and a half.
Did you get a chance to hear Gary Russell Jr.'s interview on the PBC podcast yet?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard for Gary Russell to get a fight?
Let's make something shake. Yo.
I wish Lefty was in here.
Yeah.
And I wish Lefty would have heard the interview.
That Gary Russell hater, Lefty. Yo, like you said, man, he's like, man. See, and we thought that we could have had that fight between Russell and Vargas, but he said that he had folks out there saying that Vargas had a serious leg injury. So
yeah, I remember he had a compound fracture in his leg.
Mm-hmm. So
honestly, I don't even blame Vargas if he's not ready yet. If he feels he needs a tune-up, that's a very smart way to go. Because why would you want to face Gary Russell in your first fight back? But if that's the case, I think PBC should have made both of them fight earlier in the year then to set up a late year fight. Why would you have these guys? It's already half the year is over already, and you've had both of these guys sitting when if Gary Russell knows that Vargas is not ready, then PBC has to know that Vargas is not ready.
Right.
So it's like, why would you not make a tune-up fight for both guys, and then they can have that fight together sometime during the summer or the early fall?
It looks like it's almost like they really didn't want to have people available on there, but also it could be because of trying to honor slots, putting fighters in certain slots so they get their guarantees or something like that. But outside of that, you could still have maybe let's say Gary goes up against like a Julio Ceja, for a voluntary defense, and then you find somebody for Ray Vargas, in the meantime, or try to mix and match people that are part of other rankings and add them to your rankings so that Ray Vargas has something that he could, go ahead and fight in the interim to prepare him for, a Gary Russell Jr. But, right now it just doesn't seem like they, want to go forward with that, or, just say, hey, let's see if we could just, give Gary this amount of money for him to have the interim and a voluntary defense, and then go ahead with the thing with Ray Vargas. Because like Gary said, we know that, they're not going to put who against them.
Well, what about Leo Santa Cruz? This is really the first time in many years that he's actually mentioned Gary Russell's name.
That he's had the cojones.
Yeah, but Gary didn't seem that interested in fighting him.
And he's like the only reason that he would fight Leo is because it would be a unification bout. But here's the thing. We got another fight coming up within the next few weeks in the featherweight division. That's going to be for the vacant IBF belt.
Yeah.
Kate Galahad and Josh Dickens. And, the winner of that fight could go ahead and have his bout with Gary Russell Jr., and that would be a unification.
Yeah, but why not have Gary Russell fight Leo Santa Cruz, say, in August, and then that unification could be a 3-belt unification with the winner of Galahad versus Dickens later in the year?
I don't know what it is. Maybe there might be something about the relationship between Gary Russell Jr. and how he handles things with Al Heyman in comparison to, a Leo Santa Cruz, or even in comparison to his brothers, So
Yeah.
it's kind of separate. So, we were talking about it yesterday. Like you got, Antoine, being able to be put in himself in a fight that's coming up in August. Antonio, may be part of that fight card that's on September 11th with Figueroa and Fulton. So they're able to get themselves in something.
Maybe his minimum guarantee is too high.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about, how Sean Porter, has like a pretty high guarantee there at welterweight. And I think that Gary's, even as a champion, is pretty much around that level at 126. So if you know that he's at least, 1.2 million or more, 1.2 to 1.4 million dollar guarantee, like it's almost like you can't necessarily put him in against just anybody, So
yeah, I think that his last fight he made 1.5 plus ticket sales.
Yeah, for the thing for
the wild card.
Oh, the wild card thing. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was the tug one, the tug fight that he had last year. I think that was around like 1.2 or 1.3. But yeah, it's still, anything is still over $1 million anyway, for a Gary Russell Jr. fight. So
yeah, but we gotta get him out there, man.
Yeah. Well, I sent that email, out to, the people. So we're gonna get some more interviews worked out with them. You know what I'm saying? Because of course he said that he wants that quote unquote career defining fight, and the only one that seems like is out there that could be possible is against Tank, and we know that that's not going to happen.
Who's the WBO champion at featherweight? Navarrete, right?
Yes.
So, to me, if Gary Russell wants a career-defining fight, he needs to clean up 126. Because he's not going to get... He's not like he...
he's not gonna get those fights at 130.
Yeah, but here's the thing that bothered me a little bit about his interview. He said that he wants to fight one of these guys that have the name recognition that fans would respect, so it could be a career-defining fight. But for me, he should be the name recognition that people are looking to fight. So, but right. He has to clean up 126 in order to get there. He has to fight more than once a year in order to get there. Because to me, people should be chasing him.
He should be.
Yeah, but
they should be.
But
longest reigning champion in boxing.
Longest reigning champion. But what does that mean if people aren't willing to fight you because they feel like you're not gonna bring enough commercially to be worth the risk?
Okay, so then here should be another fight that he should try to revisit. If he feels like he can't really get anything out of 126, then go after that free agent that people are talking about, and that's Devin Haney.
I agree with Guy 100%. I didn't like the way that they did business, and you know what? The PR is always on their side. So it's like he's damned if he do, damned if he doesn't. I think cleaning up 126 is very doable. If Leo Santa Cruz says he's willing to fight you next, make that fight happen. And then go after Dickens or Galahad, whoever wins.
Galahad. Mm-hmm.
And
that could be possible.
First quarter of 2022, let's make that undisputed happen.
Yeah. I say why not? Go for that thing for undisputed. You could really get something out of a fight between the Galahad Dickens winner And of course, you would get a good, a good little pay for the thing for Leo Santa Cruz. But
Yeah.
here's the thing, though. With Leo Santa Cruz, though, right? Even if they try to make that fight, one, where would they end up fighting at? And then two, how would they be able to arrange the whole thing with the split?
If they fight, I think they should fight in New York. I think fighting in New York would be a good look for them. I don't think they should fight in California because, to me, that's like basically a Leo Santa Cruz hometown fight.
Yeah.
So fight in New York, where you could get the DMV people up there, and you still have a good amount of Mexicans in New York that'll support Leo Santa Cruz.
Yep, that's true. That's true. They should be able to, try to arrange for that to happen. Put it at Barclays. Make it the unification, and they could do that because wasn't one of those fights between Leo and Frampton over in New York?
I feel like it was.
So I'm saying why can't they go ahead and try to make this thing happen for Russell versus Santa Cruz. It was over in the first fight was over in the Barclays.
Yeah, but
so
Gary gotta keep it business. The way Gary sounded like he was a little bit bitter about the Santa Cruz situation because it's a fight that he wanted for so long, and now that he lost the Tank, he was like, I don't have the same cachet.
Right.
Don't worry about the cachet. The people will come out to see it because the people have wanted that matchup for years. So don't make it personal. Keep it business, and let's, in the words of Leonard Ellaby, make the fucking fight happen.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna have to end up what it's gonna be there in that case, because right now, like you said, Gary really doesn't have a good fight that's there set up for him. So if the whole thing about him fighting Ray Vargas is kind of like out the window here for the time being, then just go ahead and try to fight for getting a unification fight done. I say,
if he fights Leo Santa Cruz next, maybe in August, he's gonna keep himself busy for the next 2 years because he can fight Santa Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Then he'll probably have to make the mandatory versus Vargas, which is another sellable fight. Then he can fight the Dickens Galahad winner, and then fight Navarrete. He can fight 4 times in a short time span, and to me that's doable because he stays in the gym all the time.
Yeah. They had some other, because the thing about it is that even with Santa Cruz as the champion there, you still got something where you beat Santa Cruz, you could still, have a defense against the next guy up, maybe against, Eduardo Ramirez or, somebody like that. And then you still have that fight against Ray Vargas to, honor that WBC mandatory. So that's the thing about it. It's like, why not just go ahead and try to get that unification done? See what you can, work out with Al or whatever it is, and just say, hey, let's make this fight happen. I mean, it's the best fight that they can do at this point here for Gary.
Yeah, and to me, he could clean up at 126, man.
Yeah.
It's not like everyone's making a whole bunch of money in the division where it's going to be hard for him to get fights. Before he had Shakur Stevenson with the high guarantee. He had Josh Warrington with the high guarantee. Those guys are gone. The only other guy that really has a high guarantee is Santa Cruz. And to me, that's a fight that is very sellable.
Yep. That's still valid as a a good unification, and Santa Cruz is there. I mean, he still has the the moniker of being a 2-division world champion. So you would have that, posted over him. You know what I mean? So why not go ahead and make that fight happen or get that fight arranged? But I mean, we'll see how that goes. Because like I said, I wanted to, see if I could get more from him here in the near future. Because yeah, I think that he's going to be set up for something. I think by I don't think it's going to be as soon as August. I think it's going to be somewhere around late September, early October when they'll have Gary Russell there in the ring once again.
Well, if he's going to take that long, it better be a good name.
Well, if it's going to be until about September, October, then I think it should be Leo Santa Cruz by then. Have that thing in the Barclays. It, like you said, New York's open. Have that fight over in the Barclays and have that as a main event, and people will come up and show up for that fight in that fight card, So there's that, man. Other thing is, seems like one of your main folks for getting sources on stories in boxing, Deuce, posted something the other day or earlier today about your Dennis Ugas.
Yeah, he got sent to hell too.
Huh?
He got sent to hell, man.
Oh. Who you talking about with Berto?
Yeah, man.
Well, he said it leaked out that he put a post up on Twitter with the hashtag Ugas Berto, and then the next hashtag was Pacquiao Spence. Given the notion that your Dennis Ugas would be part of that fight card in August, fighting Andre Berto. And Andre Berto had a response. He retweeted it. He pretty much said, "Don't believe everything you hear, bro."
Yeah, but would we be surprised if that's the fight?
No, because I had sent a text about that to somebody that's pretty close to Berto, and he kind of like sees that fight happening. So
that is such a garbage fight. Honestly, if they put this fight as the co-feature to Spence versus Pacquiao, I would have to think that Bob Arum is running PBC, because this would be a top-ranked special. This would be a top-ranked special. What the hell?
Look. I'm gonna see if I can verify this, because I'm seeing in the recent rankings there for the WBA that Andre Berto is ranked number 10. Okay. And in the previous rankings, he was not listed.
Yeah, but usually PBC gives us a good undercard for a pay-per-view. Like, what the hell's going on here?
I mean, what did I say? You got, it's just oh man, it's. I mean, I thought, we were talking about possibly having, Ugas going up against, Boots Ennis, but nah. That's
and now
not looking.
he's saying he's going to 160 for his next fight.
Well, our guy, he said that he's basically trolling on there. If I wish he would have been able to come on right now, because he went out to the gym. He probably was out there in the gym earlier today. But yeah, I don't see Boots fighting at no 160, man. I don't see that. So you could have Jamal James against Raza Butayev, Gary Antoine Russell against Muhammad Mamoune, and then your Dennis Ugas against Andre Berto.
That's a horrible undercard. That's a horrible undercard.
Now think about what was coming out initially for that card. That they were gonna see if they could do an all welterweight card.
Yeah.
And now it goes to this, that you have Jamal James, aka what do you call him? El DeBarge. Oh yeah. Of course, because he got that hairdo. He got the exact same hairdo.
But you know what's funny though? If they were struggling to find Ugas a dance partner, I would have much rather they made Ugas fight Gary Antoine.
It have Antoine move up to 47?
Yeah.
Man. Oh, but what? Oh, also, what happened to Ugas versus Thurman that they were talking about at the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
What happened to that? So,
well, I guess maybe those Thurman versus Porter 2 rumors might be true.
Well, maybe we'll have to wait until the next Porterweight podcast to see if that's going to be the case. Because, I mean, like right now, this thing for Ugas is not really looking all too hot, because you go from possibly fighting Errol Spence to possibly fighting Keith Thurman, and then you were like put in a thing as far as like potentially fighting Boots Ennis, and word is over on that side of the town that the fight was offered, but it was turned down by Ugas, and so now you may end up fighting Andre Berto.
Yeah, no wonder he ain't got no more hair. Jesus.
Oh,
imagine
man.
going from them big money fights to fighting Berto. Like, no offense to Andre Berto, he's had a decent career, but what he fought like 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah, it's been about like 2 or 3 years, man, something like that. Because, like,
well, I guess
like it's been 3 years ago, man.
Here comes the harvest, finally.
Like, Devin Alexander was his last fight. Man.
Wow.
That's wild, yo. This is wild. So it's like, man, I don't know what to make about all that for your Dennis Ugas, but I mean that's kind of like I guess I wouldn't even necessarily say it's a tough break for him, because could be impossible. Yeah. So I'm like, can't say hard luck, because you made those decisions.
They should just release him.
Maybe, but where would he, what would he end up doing? He would have some version of a belt.
Go fight Crawford.
Yeah, he could. But we see what's happening with Crawford after what was kind of like leaked. I don't know what that was. That photo thing for Top Rank.
Yeah, I hope it's not true.
I hope it's not either. But it wouldn't be something that's surprising coming from Top Rank. So I'm like, But yeah, like, here we are.
Bob Arum really lied to the people, because he claimed that Crawford was going to fight a non-top rank fighter next.
And man, nah, because he ain't fighting he ain't fighting Regis Prograis, and Regis Prograis was mentioned as a possible opponent for Terence Crawford. So,
yeah, but Prograis don't want to go to 147. He's another guy that's on the brink of irrelevancy.
Well, Of course, he had Jamel Charlo talking about why is he there among the top 2 pound for pound, given his resume. So, but
I didn't like that. I didn't like that. See, and this is why Jamel Charlo, MAGA Charlo, is always on his coon shit. Okay, and I don't like that. No, JR. There are so many people on that pound for pound list that you can argue with before you get to Terence Crawford, who at the very least was undisputed in a weight class and is undefeated at his current weight class. So out of all the names on this pound for pound list, you want to single out the brother. You know, I don't like that. I don't like that.
That nickname might be worse than what I was calling him. Dang, right. Yo.
Why did I join the show? And the first word I heard was MAGA Charlo.
Yeah, man. That's MAGA Mel, baby.
Oh,
wow.
Man. I mean, hey, yeah, those comments
skills
about
pay the bills.
Yeah, skills pay bills. Hey, but race don't matter.
Yeah, race don't matter.
So what's the issue? What he said?
A nigga from Texas saying that race don't matter.
What did he say?
He in the conference call earlier today, the topic was brought up about Jamel Charlo not being included in pound for pound list. I posted a clip on the Boxing Source Twitter page where he says that, like, you know, the only people that don't really put him in pound for pound list is ESPN. And he said, like, hey, I mean, I got, Canelo number 1, but y'all got, Crawford on there, and you look at his resume, he's like, yeah, you got Kell Brook, but outside of that, what?
Is that the truth, or is that the truth?
It's not the truth, because at the end of the day, Crawford was...
He got Ndungo.
Crawford was the undisputed champion at 140.
I'm sorry, Matt. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Crawford was undisputed at 140, and he's
with the win off
at
Ndungo.
147.
With the win off Ndungo.
All right, let me ask you a question. Why is Alexander Usyk on the list?
Man, half of the people on the list, I would say drop them. But
okay, exactly. So why the fuck did he single out the brother? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. So, let me ask you this: was he saying him for number 2, or he was just saying why is he on the list in general?
Why is he on the list in general? Out of all the names, single out the brother. Why you single out the brother? I ain't like that.
Let me see if I can run this again, y'all.
Well, they kind of conservative in Houston. I ain't saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying.
He singled out the brother.
I'm not judging him.
He ain't saying nothing about Lomachenko. What the fuck has Lomachenko done to be considered pound for pound?
I do get a lot.
What? Beat Nicholas Walters after a year layoff?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Bringing somebody up 2 divisions.
Lomachenko living off a Gary Russell victory from like 6-7 years ago. Like, come on, man.
Like,
but you
it seemed like it was 8 years ago or something. Like,
yeah, but they want to single out the brother. MAGA Mel.
I respect that.
What was that? Hold on.
I agree. Number 1 on my over bundle.
Let me see.
But all of that being
but y'all have Terence Crawford like really, really, really high. I mean, did y'all look at his episode? I know Kell Brooks was a dangerous fighter, and I believe Kell Brooks was a great fighter. He beat. But my bad. I won't throw out names. I don't got time to drama, but I'm just keeping it real.
Hey, he said he's keeping it real.
Yeah. Jamel strikes again.
Oh, no.
Man, it's some bullshit, JR. I'm telling you.
Oh my God, yo.
So had he said, what's the Asian dude name? Anyway, had he said anyway, would you have jumped on him like everybody else would have?
No, because I got anyway. Listen, I got anyway #1 on my pound for pound list.
Anyway's a top ranked guy. he could have named it away. Anyway's a top ranked guy.
But
okay, I see what you mean.
That's what you're not getting.
But he wasn't saying nobody else has anyway as #1 but you, Matt. But I think if he'd have saw your list, he'd have came at anyway. I would hope so.
Always coming at the brother. Okay, Jamel, man, I'm telling y'all. I guarantee you, he got a Blue Lives Matter flag somewhere in his house. I guarantee it.
Oh my God, yo!
You better get a disclaimer about the boxing source.
Hey, man, they know who I am. I speak to me and me only. Jamel, Mr. Racism doesn't exist, but he wanted to sue a gym for racism. Make that make sense.
What he wanted to sue a gym about?
Because he claims that they didn't let him in the gym because he was black.
Or it was one of those
like a Planet Fitness?
Yeah, like a Planet Fitness or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they said, get your black ass out of here. But now that he's getting a little bit more money and a little bit more prestige, and he's getting a little bit more acceptance by the Neanderthals, all of a sudden, race don't matter to Jamel. All of a sudden, he picking on the brother on the pound for pound list. Okay.
See, we gotta go. Matt about to make a phone call over to Jay Prince. I mean,
for real. That's why his bum ass can't fight in Houston. Yeah.
Oh my God, yo, yeah, that's just wild, man. That was just boy, Jamel Charlo. See. And I had given up that nickname for the Charlo brothers. So, that thing, I had to retire it. So it is what it is with that. Like I said, I tried to, make a case there for Jamel Charlo being in the pound for pound list. But
he is pound for pound.
Yeah.
He is definitely pound for pound. I got him top 5 pound for pound.
Right. So the thing is, man, it's like
but you got all the other black people behind other people, huh? What's your #2, man? Let's hear your #2.
I got Inoue #1. I got Canelo #2.
Oh, here we go. Hey, I don't want to say N words, but how you gonna throw a rock and got a glass house?
Listen, that's just my pound for pound list. I got Spence #3. I got Jamel #4, and I got Josh Taylor #5. I think that's a very solid top 5.
So it's one black guy in your pound for pound. Is that what you're telling me? Top 5 pound for pound. Is that what you're telling me, Matt?
I got some of them.
But the majority is other people other than black people. Is that what you're telling me?
Hey, listen. Just because you black don't mean you got to be #1 pound for pound. But
is that right?
But guess what? That right? I'm not going to complain and single out the brother to be taken off the list. Why he ain't say Lomachenko? What the fuck Lomachenko do to be pound for pound?
Hey, why did he say Golovkin, goddammit?
Exactly. What the fuck Triple G do to be pound for pound? Beat some Polish punching bag? Come on, man.
Hey, this is the same Gennady Golovkin that won't even face his brother for unification.
Exactly. but he wanted to single out Crawford.
Hey, maybe it was because he was mad about that video that was out there, Terence Crawford dancing with all those folks out there.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was probably jealous. My man Crawford out here living his best life, by the way. Crawford had Omaha popping for 4th of July. He had the whole block lit up with fireworks, had the whole barbecue, the whole neighborhood out. Listen, I'm loving what Terence Crawford doing, man. Fuck all that top-ranked PBC shit. I just like seeing a brother living his best life.
There's only one thing that he didn't do, but I ain't even gonna mention it.
It's fight fighters who could potentially beat him. Is that the one thing you're talking about?
Nah.
Okay. Never mind. All right. Let me be quiet for somebody to call me Mega Mike or something. Let me shut up.
Hey, man. Could be. I don't know, Mike.
Oh.
I don't know. You support Colbert the other day too, man.
I'm sounding real familiar.
And we did we kicking you out the bomb squad.
No, you didn't.
What I realized?
You added me back on. No, you added me back on.
No, you added him back on. He said, "Hey, a lion doesn't care about the opinion of sheep."
Nah, but you know what really pissed me off about the Colbert situation? He knew that him and his people asked to get the video taken down. So why the fuck did he not say anything when he saw that the public was blaming Deontay Wilder? That just shows how much of how low integrity and how much of a coward this guy is. Because why would you let people blame Deontay Wilder and his camp when you know it was you and your camp that reached out to have the video taken down?
What video?
Mike, come on, man.
Man, you know this shit insignificant to me. Remind me, please.
Hey, listen. Mike Grady is not part of the LDBC or any of those communities, man. Okay, so he does not keep up with what goes on in the YouTube stratosphere. Okay, Matt.
I'll give him that.
So, oh man. Oh, that was the other thing too. Maybe we should sick Gary Russell Jr. or Chris Colbert, because he said, "Hey, listen, if Chris Colbert want that smoke, I could get in that ass too."
Facts.
Go ahead and have him up there at 130 to fight Chris Colbert. Actually, that could be a makeable fight though. They can come up with the purse for that. I don't see why not.
Colbert take that fight at this point?
No, because he has something lined up with Xavier Martinez that could be for the WBA super title.
Yeah.
So he ain't gonna do it. He wouldn't do it, So that, oh boy. But yeah, man. But I wanted to revisit that thing with Devin Haney being a quote unquote free agent. Like, I don't see what the real significance of that is, because unless if he has like a fight in the interim, waiting on what happens with Teofimo Lopez, because he's not going to have that fight with Teofimo Lopez until next year anyway.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the whole free agency thing is just Eddie Hearn announcing, but not saying it in plain words, that Matchroom USA is dead. They're focusing on the international market. They're getting out of the U.S. market. The Eddie Hearn U.S. takeover was a complete failure. He was supposed to put Showtime out of business, but all he ended up doing was putting Sky Sports out of business.
Well, according to some people over in the UK, they don't mind that Sky Sports is out of business because they don't really like.
Yeah, they say that now until the Zone raised those prices on their ass. Remember,
be
the
about
zone
the
went from
same.
$10 to $20 real quick over here.
Yep. Because that's basically how they're gonna handle things. But the thing about it is that the thing with the zone is that they could provide the programming, but they don't have the equipment.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you're putting this stuff on the zone, but the zone is using other people to, broadcast or, use the cameras and all that in order to get that content over to them. So it's like, man, some people are getting, they're getting a little bit hustle on that front, because the zone on that end, they're really saving up on front end costs, for front end operating costs on that tip. So that, hey, if that's how they do it, hey, that's a good move by them. I ain't gonna blame them on it. But in the meantime, good luck to those UK boxing fans or whatever it is, because
Gonna get ugly real quick. Watch.
yeah, because they gonna see with that Top Rank deal. What is that gonna be? Top Rank in Queensbury. It's gonna be real messy for him right there, man. It's gonna be real messy for him.
Well, at least we got PBC over here.
No, yeah, you do have that. Yo, that's pretty much it, man. As far as like what I got going down so far, man. I ain't much in the gossip game outside of that whole thing with Ugas. How do you go and freaking fighting Errol Spence? Could have fought Errol Spence. Nope. Could have fought Keith Thurman. Nope. Could have fought Bruce Ennis. Nope. But you may end up fighting Andre Berto.
Disgusting.
That's just bad, man. That's just bad. But yeah, that's it as far as like this thing is concerned, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening with what's going down on Friday. That's about the only boxing action that's going on is what's happening Friday night. So we'll see about this whole thing with Jojo Diaz and and if he's going to be able to get himself in the lightweight contention there with that long time contender there at lightweight in Javier Fortuna, man. But outside of that, that's all I got here for the midweek report. We'll get back at it on Sunday night with the podcast, the Boxing Source Radio Show, how we do. So until then, I'm checking out. Later, y'all.
Later.